Hi everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the rapid fire book tag. I was tagged in this video during the summer. Eric with Break Even Books tagged me in it, and I just haven't gotten around to filming it until now. So here we are, the middle of October, filming this tag video. I have my laptop here beside me so I can look at the questions, and we are going to just get into this. All right, question 1, ebook or physical book? Physical book. I have never ever in my life read an ebook, and I don't really plan on it. I can see the benefit of ebooks when you're traveling, but I went on a cruise in February and brought like 6 physical books, and it was fine. So if that's your thing, awesome. It's not mine. I can't get into it. I like holding a book in my hand and physically turning the pages, and I don't think that will ever change. Question 2, paperback or hardback? I don't really have a preference. If you look on my bookshelves, there's a combination. It's kind of whatever I find. I do like all of my books in a series to be the same, so whether that's hardback or paperback. But other than that, I don't really have a preference between the two. Question 3, online or in-store book shopping? If there's very specific books that I'm looking for, I will hop on Amazon or check Book Outlet and buy it that way. There's nothing to me beats just walking around a bookstore for hours and just picking up whatever strikes my fancy. So I guess I would say in-store, but both of them have their purposes. Next, trilogies or series? I think I would choose series in general. If it's a world I like Harry Potter or something like that, then or it's a bunch of characters that I really love, like Hannah Swinson, I want to be in that world as much as possible. However, some series I think drag out, and they could have been just fine with a trilogy. So if the trilogy or if the series is good, I'm going to say series, but sometimes they do get a little long, in which case I would choose trilogies. So I don't know. Heroes or villains? I mean, I love a good hero story, but sometimes the backstories of villains and how they became a villain is really interesting. Like what led them to choose that life. So I think I'd go with villain, actually. Ooh. Next, a book you want everyone to read. I recommend, and I've lent out The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo a lot. So my gut is to say this because I've had a lot of people read it. But I also really love Summer of '69. But those books, I don't know that I would recommend. I don't know that I would recommend, like, these books I recommend to people that I know, like I knew their reading tastes, so I knew that they would like them. A book that I would recommend, a book that I would recommend to anyone, a book I want everyone to read. I don't know. Maybe A Time to Kill. It's way up there, so I'm not going to grab it. A Time to Kill, I think, is a good book to get you thinking. I just listed like 3 of my 5 favorite books of all time. Any of my top 5. So A Time to Kill, The Martian, Summer of '69, 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, or Little Women, I think would all be good books that I would want everyone to read. Next up is to recommend an underrated book. And the book I'm going to recommend is Timeline by Michael Crichton. I don't hear very many people at all talk about it now. My father-in-law recommended this book to me, and I really enjoyed it. Do not watch the movie, though. The movie is not that great. A brief synopsis of Timeline is these archaeologists are at this archaeological dig, and they find something. When they discover this item, they are swept to this facility then are transported back in time to the site of their archaeological dig, just like 600 years in the past. And they end up having to fight for their lives, but 600 years in the past. So they could alter the entire course of history if they don't get back in the present time. It's pretty good. It has a 3.85 average star rating on Goodreads, but I really enjoyed it, and John really enjoyed it, and John's dad really enjoyed it, and I think for the three of us who all have very different tastes in books can all enjoy it. I think it's a good book for everyone. So, and it's not like when I thought of Michael Crichton, I thought of like Jurassic Park, and so, it's going to be kind of scary, but it wasn't. It was actually really, really good. Just don't see the movie. All right. Next is the last book I finished, and I don't have that with me either. It's in my car because I need to return it to the library, but that is the Cherry Cola Book Club by Ashton Lee. So next is the last books I bought, and those are my book of the month picks for October. So hey, I'm filming this on October 20th, and the fact that the last books I bought were my book of the month books from the beginning of the month is pretty good. So I got The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys, Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, I think is how you say his last name. And then it's on John's bookshelf, but I got The Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade was my other book of the month pick. Next is Weirdest Thing You've Used as a Bookmark. I don't tend to use very odd things. I mean, I tend to either use bookmarks or, pieces of paper, scrap pieces of paper. So the oddest thing I've probably used is a pen or pencil. Next, used books, yes or no? 1,000,000% yes. I go to my friends at the library book sale every time they have one. They have it twice a year. It's coming up in about a month. I love used books. That's when we were growing up, that's how we got a lot of our books, was by buying them used. I think that used books are great. Top 3 favorite genres: historical fiction, mystery thriller, and contemporary. I think I'm pretty set in those. Borrow or buy? Buy. I prefer to own my books, but I do go to my library. I support my library. I love the library. So I do try and borrow books there. Characters or plot? If I had to choose one, I would choose plot, but I love books that do have a good backstory with the characters. You get to know the characters as well. Long or short books? I prefer long books if it's a standalone. If I'm reading a book in a series, I don't mind a shorter book, but I tend to get very immersed in stories, and so I don't want it to end. Most of the books I read, I would say, are 300 to 500 pages. I don't know if that's long or short. Maybe it's medium, but I don't know. It depends on how good the story is. Name the first 3 books you think of. Okay, I have books literally all over, so I'm trying not to look at any. I'm going to say, I'm thinking of the books that I'm reading right now. So I'm listening to Love the One You're With by Emily Giffin. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I don't know why I thought of that one. And One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich. That was a random selection. Books that make you laugh or cry. There's not a lot of books that make me cry, so it's hard to do. So it doesn't happen very often. But I really love laughing at books, and I really love when John's reading and he laughs at books. It's just like, it makes it seem that reading is enjoyable. Next, our world or fictional worlds. It's easier for me to read books that are set in our world. I have been reading more fantasy because I've been wanting to read books that John is reading, and it just takes, it's harder for me to get into it because I have to like figure out what's going on. So I prefer books set in our world because it's a little bit easier for me to follow. Audiobooks, yes or no? I'm starting to get into them, so yes, I've been listening to audiobooks while I'm at work or doing like stuff around my house. Like I was listening to an audiobook while I was getting ready today. But right now I am listening to audiobooks of books that I have already read because it's hard for me to follow along. I lose focus. So I'm slowly getting into them and I'm seeing their benefit. But right now I'm just like rereading them. So yes, I'm tentatively saying yes right now. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? I would say most books that are on my bookshelf are at least somewhat cover buys. If it's not the actual like appearance of the cover, like I don't know that I would have picked up The Wife Between Us based on the cover like picture, but I read the back. If that sounds good, then I'm probably going to get it, whether I've heard of it or not. Book to movie or book to TV adaptations. Is this asking for my preference between them? I would prefer book to movie adaptations. I think because I feel like, wow, book to movie adaptations end up leaving stuff out because there's only a certain, there's a fairly finite amount of time that you can have a movie last. I think sometimes book to TV adaptations end up adding a bunch of stuff that isn't necessarily like canon to that book, and they tend to get drawn out. So while neither one of them are flawless, they both are definitely flawed. I think I prefer book to movie adaptations to book to TV adaptations. A movie or TV show you preferred to its book. I know, I just have to find it. I preferred the movie Julie and Julia to the book Julie and Julia. And it's not because I didn't like this book, because I did. I prefer the movie because you get more of Julia Child's life. Because the book Julie and Julia is the story of Julie Powell and her personal story, cooking her way through Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking, which is good, and I like her story, but I prefer the movie because you get both. So Julie and Julia, the movie, is one of my favorite movies of all time. I've seen it so many times. Series or standalones? Whew, this is the last question. I think I prefer standalones only because series are such an investment. Like, I kind of like reading a book, enjoying that book for what it is, and then like being done with that world, and it was great. So there you have it, the rapid fire book tag. This was an incredibly long video. I'm really sorry about that, but yeah, there's a lot of questions. I don't even know how many questions there were on that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Let me know some of your answers to these questions. I will leave a list of them down below. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but if you would like to film this or have thoughts on these, I tag you to do this. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.